Car chases are dangerous and unpredictable. Viewer discretion advised.
Breaking news happening right now. This is a pursuit of a reckless driver in a bread box truck. We've seen just about every type of pursuit, this time in a bread box truck. This is LA Sheriff deputies chasing a suspect, apparently driving without his lights on. It's a Nature Harvest bread box truck. Believe we had it right there in the middle of your shot. There it is, going underneath the overpass. As you see right there, this has been going on for about half an hour or so. Sky 9 just getting above it right now. We've seen this truck weaving in and out of traffic and basically staying on surface streets for the most part. And what I saw earlier, this bread truck was going through very narrow streets, so very dangerous driving going on there right now. This looks like it's in Long Beach right now on East Artesia Boulevard. You can see the driver of this bread truck still with its lights off, I believe, in the front there, coming to an intersection and actually stopping at a red light. You can see there's another officer on the other side of the street there. So one behind them, one just to the left. So they've tried stopping him a couple of times. He looks like he does come to a stop at points, but then as you see there, he keeps on going. As far as we know, there's one occupant inside this bread box truck. It looks almost like a small moving truck, right? So most likely this is a commercial business that owns the truck, Nature Harvest bread box. We don't know if the truck was stolen or not, but we do know is that this driver is wanted for reckless driving because he was driving with his lights off. So apparently they tried pulling him over, and that's when the chase began. All right, with us right now, retired police sergeant Darren Wyatt. Hello, Darren, are you with us?
Hey, Juan, I'm with you. Yeah, I've been watching for about the last 20 minutes here, and as you saw, he stopped at that red light briefly, but then continued through the red light. He's been doing that off and on for the last 20 minutes now, but consistently driving without his headlights on, doing some really, really nasty maneuvers. You just saw him shaking there with his weaving kind of back and forth, in and out of parking lots, in and out of some very, very narrow streets. Just before you came on, he was kind of blocked in by a car on a residential street, and he kept lunging towards the car to where the car eventually backed up, and he was able to get around. Almost hit a couple of deputies, and then the thing just keeps going.
Can you give us an idea the challenges when it comes to trying to stop a truck of this size? It's almost like a small moving van here, going at not very high rates of speed, but just the size of this type of truck. What are the challenges that officers face out there?
Well, there are many. First and foremost, you're not going to be able to use a pursuit intervention technique or a pit technique on a car of this size because it's so top heavy. It just limits your ability to do that. They could potentially use spike strips, and we've seen a couple of attempts to do that so far unsuccessfully. But also, when this vehicle gets moving at speed and tries to make quick or erratic turns, it's top heavy, and you can see that it's very easy for it to lose control, which is dangerous to other people on the street, other motorists, and the officers themselves.
Yeah, we saw it earlier. You were mentioning how it was kind of looked like it was almost fishtailing, rocking side to side. Is that because these trucks are just a little harder to control for the driver of that truck?
Well, it's mainly because of the weight distribution of the truck and the size of it. Here we saw he was actually stopped at a green light there before he made his turn. He's signaling, but still driving without his lights. There was mention earlier of not knowing whether this truck is actually stolen or not. My guess would be, with it being Thanksgiving night and businesses being closed, that this truck most likely is probably a stolen vehicle because employees wouldn't be working today.
Yeah, indeed. And I always hold my breath when these drivers come to an intersection because you really don't know what they're going to do, if they're going to plow right through. We've seen him stop a couple of times. Here he looks like he's slowing down just a little bit at yet another intersection. So, and now he's backing up. So what is he going to do here? Obviously, if he tries to back up into officers, that poses a whole different scenario, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And, hopefully these officers are maintaining their distance, and we don't want to force a deadly force situation here. We did see a few minutes ago where he made a wide sweeping U-turn, again, just crazy driving on this guy's part. You got to wonder what's going on in this person's head, what they're actually fleeing from.
We might see some spike strips right here. Is that, no, what was that? Somebody running.
Well, we have seen actually citizens running along the side of this pursuit trying to take pictures of it and videotape it a few minutes ago. But there was a deputy that was running. Yes, that was a deputy that was running after deploying spike strips. I don't know if the suspect vehicle hit him or not, but that deputy was running to get out of the way. Unfortunately, we have seen it across the country, even within the last 2 weeks, where law enforcement officers have been killed trying to deploy spike strips in pursuits like this.
Yeah, it's very dangerous, and of course, you know, they're the best at this type of technique, and it can still be super duper dangerous because you just don't know what the driver of this truck or car is going to do. I'm just now getting word that apparently the want on this is now assault with a deadly weapon on a deputy with a car. So perhaps is it what you were talking about earlier, that he came very close to a deputy, or is this just trying to figure that one out?
We've seen two separate incidents now where he's come very, very close to hitting deputies in the pursuit. One was actually in a residential street where he made a turn. It did not appear to be intentional. Yet a few minutes ago, he was in a Target parking lot, and it did appear that he was coming. Now, it looks like those tires are smoking. I think that the spike strips were successful. If you look at the right side tires.
Yep. Oh, I see it. You can see the smoke almost, Darren.
Yep. Yeah, so as the rubber continues to disintegrate, eventually we're going to start seeing sparks come from this. But now that the control of this vehicle is even going to be that much more difficult.
Oh, yeah, and look at the smoke that's now pouring out from the back of this Nature Harvest truck. If he is wanted, Darren, for this assault with a deadly weapon on a deputy, and just a few minutes ago we saw him backing up the truck. You know, there was a deputy car behind him. Doesn't matter whether a deputy's in their car or out in the open. Is that right? Look, we're putting a little circle. You're going to see it in just a bit there at the tire. It may look like that the tire has been blown out. Did you see that? You might be on a little bit of a delay, but you're going to see it in a second.
Yeah, no, I've got it. But yeah, and it showed the deployment of that spike strip again with the deputy running, because that's probably going to be the assault with a deadly weapon, was where he actually maneuvered around towards the deputy who was on foot deploying that spike strip. But we did see in a Target parking lot where he steered towards a couple of deputies in a unit as well. So there may be more than one count of this assault with a deadly weapon on a deputy here.
Yeah, so the charges continue to rack up for this driver right here. And Darren, it doesn't matter whether or not the deputy's out of their vehicle or inside the vehicle. If you charge at an officer with a truck like this, it's considered a dangerous, deadly weapon. It's just as serious, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And really, it's the intent of what it is. If it's, this backing up and they're able to back up, probably would not suffice for that. But when he was steering intentionally towards the deputy that was on foot and those other deputies that were in the parking lot, that's certainly an intentional act and would be considered a felonious assault.
Yeah, it looks right now, Darren, he's on South Long Beach Boulevard in Compton, so he's moved a little bit north and staying pretty much on surface streets, which, again, is a good and a bad thing, I guess. Hopefully there are no pedestrians out there or families out enjoying the evening. It's a very nice night out there enjoying the Thanksgiving holiday, and here comes this truck without lights on, hard to see, and hopefully let's see what's going to happen here. Hopefully it's disabled enough. Now it's going over a sidewalk, Darren. Just unbelievable here. And now he hit a tree. Whoa.
Yeah, he also hit sideswiped a vehicle in these small residential areas that he was going through a little while ago. Yeah, this is just crazy. Again, this will certainly be felony evading because it's wanton disregard for the public safety, as well as the assaults on the officers. But really no rhyme or reason for that going up on the sidewalk. Don't know exactly what he was thinking there, but again, as the tires continue to disintegrate, the steering and the maneuverability of that vehicle become harder and harder. As you can kind of see it fishtailing a little bit as he continues to drive down the street, especially when he gets to higher speeds. If he tries to make any kind of turns, it's going to be very difficult, which makes it even more dangerous for the public that are out there on the roads tonight trying to get home from this holiday.
Oh, yeah, and every few minutes or so, we keep thinking he's going to pull over. Now those tires smoking even more, so a very dangerous situation there. because, as you said, he loses more and more control of this truck as he's driving it down the street there. And I often wonder what goes through these drivers' minds. You know, one minute we think he is going to pull over. It looks like he's pulling over. Instead, as we saw just a few moments ago, he jumped a sidewalk, hit a tree, and then got back into some traffic, and now going through another intersection there, going on the green light. Look, cars getting out of the way, and police not far behind.
Yeah. Fortunately, we're out of those tight residential streets right now. Earlier, we saw it, and there were people actually on the streets, vehicles on the streets in very, very narrow streets. But fortunately, we're on some wider streets now. Just see where this continues to lead us.
And again, not knowing what might be inside this truck is also an issue there. My guess is, with the more and more smoke we see, what happens? It looks probably that the tires are gone. He's riding on rims. So would the brakes eventually be hampered? I'm not quite sure how the setup is on trucks like this.
Yeah, and eventually, when the rubber completely disintegrates, we're going to start seeing sparks, which have the potential for creating a fire. And with the wind that we've got right now, fortunately, he's not near any brush, but that could be very, very dangerous as well.
Yeah, indeed. All right, we just reestablishing our shot there with Sky9 trying to find this truck, this basic Nature Harvest bread box truck that's been leading sheriff deputies on a pursuit for about, I guess, 30 or 40 minutes. Would you say that, Darren?
Yeah, right around there. And I believe he's back in a parking lot and blocked between the two buildings there, and that's why we're not seeing him right now. But he has gone into parking lots several different times.
And of course, right now, our vantage shot is not the best. We're trying to make our way around this building here, back inside a parking lot, which is something, Darren, we saw him do earlier here. It looks like it is a parking lot of some sort. Or is that him sitting next to the curb?
Yes.
See that guy?
That is the Nature Harvest vehicle.
Looks like a
Is there a
gentleman
guy
right
with a
there.
blue shirt there on the side?
It looks like maybe something, or maybe a trash can is there at the curb.
Yeah, I just got closer.
Yeah.
Just got closer to the monitor. It is a trash can. So it's now another wait and see situation when a pursuit becomes a standoff. Still, the situation stays pretty dangerous. And look at this, Darren. Now we're getting a better shot of the tires. The rubber is still on, but definitely a lot of damage. That back rear tire looks like it's sustained quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, and take a look at the right front tire as well. That is in pretty poor shape as well. But yeah, now we're kind of in a waiting game here. The makeup of this vehicle makes it more difficult during a standoff or a barricade as well, because there's no rear windows for them to, put gas munitions through or anything like that. Because of the size and the weight of the vehicle, it's not like you could pull a patrol car up to the front and keep it from moving forward. So just the sheer size and makeup of the vehicle makes it more difficult, not just in the pursuit, but now that we're in a somewhat of a barricade as well.
Yeah, Darren, I often wonder that, when we're watching it at home in our armchair there, we always wonder, why don't officers come around the front, box him in, but that actually is not the way things work out. Why is that?
Well, for several reasons. Typically you don't know if the suspect's armed or not. So if you are going to do something like that, you typically would do it. Law enforcement would use an armored vehicle like a bear or a bearcat. However, in a situation like this, with the size of the vehicle, it probably wouldn't be as effective. You don't want to be too close up on the bumper on a vehicle of this size, because it could literally roll over and push over the top of a patrol car. So now they're just probably going to sit there and try and negotiate. They'll try and get in a position of advantage where they can see into the windshield. They'll try and communicate with the driver, make some kind of voice contact with him, and try and talk him out of the vehicle. Fortunately, with it being in a parking lot with these businesses closed, really we have all night. These deputies are on duty. They're not going anywhere. So they can, allow this to play itself out without forcing somebody's hand and exacerbating an already dangerous situation.
Yeah. You mentioned about visibility earlier there, Darren. I can see what you're talking about now. For the driver of this truck, he's got those two side view mirrors. He's got a great vantage point of where officers are, but for the officers, it's a whole different situation, right?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. They'll continue to use the helicopter, depending on how long this plays out and if it is deemed a barricade and they call, a sheriff's jurisdiction, they call the Special Enforcement Bureau out, they would probably put somebody in a position someplace behind cover, but where they could actually look in through the windshield, through binoculars or through a scope. But, it all depends on how long this plays out, and hopefully, we'll be able to get this guy out and in custody here shortly with, hopefully no use of force.
And Darren, this is Leslie Mudding hopping in here with Juan Fernandez. Now, we did see some sheriff's deputies blocking off the entrance to this parking lot. Is there any advantage to the deputies there on scene that it is in this area? Are they going to be able to maybe block off all of the entrances and hopefully get this big box truck from moving here?
Well, I think that the blocking the entrances are more to keep other people out rather than to keep the suspect in. If the suspect's going to try and leave, he'll go over a curb or do whatever he wants. What they don't want is members of the public injecting themselves or bringing themselves into the situation that's going to make it more dangerous.
He's taking off again.
Involved.
And here he goes again, Darren, taking off again. He was waiting there for quite a bit, and now he's going back out into traffic. So,
and it looks he's going on the other side of the parking lot where no officers were. Of course, we still have that sheriff's helicopter following, but it looks like a lot of the officers. Oh no, there you go. There's a patrol car. Yeah,
deputies will be right on his tail here again shortly.
And here we are back again.
He's certainly not going to outrun deputies in this vehicle.
Yeah, right now, North Bullis Road, it looks like, in the city of Compton there. Again, we haven't seen very fast speeds when it comes to this pursuit, but we did see a short time ago there was some spike strips deployed, and as we saw there, it did create some damage on some of those tires. We saw plenty of smoke coming from this box bread truck there. Now he hit the brakes pretty hard. Well, now he keeps going. So pretty unpredictable, always unpredictable, and officers must keep that in mind at all times. Until it's a code 4, anything can happen.
Yep. Yeah, and again, no real rhyme or reason as to why he's stopping, when he's stopping, etc. Fortunately, he is stopping on red lights. We have seen him stop on a red light, but then continue to go through after he's felt traffic is cleared. But you saw him slam on his brakes, then move forward, and then brake again. I don't know if maybe he's testing the brakes in that situation to see how well they're going to work, which is certainly possible with knowing that there's some damage to those wheels.
Indeed, and now our producer was telling us, Darren, the front and rear passenger tires are the ones that sustained the damage. So he's basically on only one good tire, which would make this truck even more difficult to maneuver there through the streets of Compton.
Fishtailing.
Yep, fishtailing and rocking side to side.
And that's, again, as we talked about the lack and those maneuvers anyway, but when you take away the rubber on the tires and, the traction, it just increases it.
And I'm guessing, too, it's very loud inside that cab of that truck, right? When you have metal scraping up against asphalt, the rumbling sounds, that just adds to the whole, intensity of the situation.
Yeah, and not just the rumbling, but as you have metal on the roadway, then it's going to be screeching and scraping, and it will be quite loud inside the cab there.
And we followed some of these box trucks before on pursuits, and sometimes these tires will go a lot longer than we normally predict, although we are saying that the front and the rear tires look completely deflated at this point, but we haven't seen those sparks yet. We're seeing that smoke there on the left side of the truck. Looks like the front tire possibly.
Yeah, we've seen it from the front and the rear on that right side, on the passenger side. We're seeing it again quite a bit now. But I think that there's still rubber on those tires, and the faster he goes and the longer he drives on that, the more you'll see that disintegrate, and that's when you'll start having the metal grinding on the roadway, which I don't think that we've quite seen yet. I know that there's been rubber still on those tires, but The other thing is, as that heats up, as there's that friction there and the heat gets there, the brakes are going to be less susceptible to working properly as well. So hopefully he gives himself plenty of room to stop before coming through an intersection. A little bit of wrong way driving there as well.
Yeah, Darren, amazing here what we're seeing, and of course the unpredictability of what's going on here with this pursuit. We're now going close into, I guess, an hour since this all started. A box truck from the Harvest bread box there started as a reckless driving pursuit. For those just joining us right now, the driver apparently driving without his lights on, and when officers tried to pull him over, we're talking about LA County Sheriff's deputies, this driver had no interest in stopping. When we first got over it, this pursuit was in the city of Long Beach. Now it's moved a little further north. It's now in the city of Compton. For the most part, we've seen continuing to stay here on surface streets, not hitting any freeways. So that's definitely a good thing. But my goodness, still a very unpredictable pursuit. As you mentioned, Darren, a very top-heavy truck. The pit maneuver is basically out of the question. Spike strips have worked, but this driver, for now, just doesn't want to stop. Okay, stay with us. KCAL 9 News at 10 o'clock continues right now.
Okay, Juan, thank you very much. I am Jeff Vaughn alongside Leslie Marin. This is KCAL 9 News at 10 o'clock. We continue that breaking news coverage of the latest pursuit in LA. This is a driver behind the wheel of a bread truck, Nature's Harvest bread truck. Initially, we understand LA County Sheriff's Department of Carson saw this driver without headlights. That was a reckless driver. It looks like he is stopped at this point in time. And then that turned into an assault with a deadly weapon on a deputy. That's when a deputy was trying to run away from the driver who was trying to assault him with that bread truck. This driver has been seen on the sidewalk, driving on the sidewalk, took out a tree. Now he's backing up at police cruisers. That could also be seen as assault with a deadly weapon. There's also sideswept a car in a residential area. What he just did there in backing up to try to get the police to not follow him has been attempted at least one other time before. This again is the driver behind the wheel of a bread truck wanted for reckless driving. This is turned into an assault on a deputy. This started near the intersection of Alondra Boulevard and Wilmington Avenue just after 9 o'clock. So we have been following this pursuit for more than an hour now here on KCAL 9 as we continue with our 10 o'clock broadcast. And Leslie, I know that you were on KCAL just moments ago and with part of this pursuit, and there were some times that got pretty hairy for officers, especially when he directed this larger vehicle right at a police cruiser and at a deputy who was trying to put out the spike strips.
And we believe that some of those spike strips were able to work and do what they're supposed to do, because the right side of the truck, both the front and the rear tires, look to have been completely deflated, and at some points we have seen them smoking. But as you just saw there, we've seen this several times. This driver stops at a red light, turns green, keeps going. Moments ago, we actually saw that truck pull into a Walmart parking lot. We thought it was going to be a standoff. If you take a look at that front tire there, you can see rubber looks to be almost gone, just pretty much flapping right now. This is something we've seen this truck just kind of keep chugging along with.
Yeah.
At times, again, like I said, smoking.
Yeah.
Those tires smoking, and now he has once again stopped. We've seen him stop, or seen this person, I should say. We don't know who's behind the wheel. We've seen this person stop several times, but then they don't get out and they keep going.
Yeah, obviously this truck is disabled. He's having a hard time attempting to drive this. My understanding is the update is there's only one good tire left. I think it's the left front tire that's left. Those spike strips were deployed successfully. They knocked out most of the tires except for one, we understand. This has been going on since a little bit after 9 o'clock. We believe that this is not an employee of this company. This is Nature's Harvest. This is a bread truck. You might understand this to be obviously a holiday, so I can't imagine that there would be anybody working. But, you know, stranger things have happened. We do not have any information as to who this is behind the wheel. But we do have on air with us now retired Sergeant Darren Wyatt, who joins us to talk a little bit about this. So, Darren, we're starting to see this driver kind of do the same behavior over and over again. Now we see the night sun over this bread truck, but we've seen him now. It looks like the driver's side door is open. So tell us, Darren, what police might be telling him what to do.
So Jeff, the police officers behind there are going to be giving him commands to put his hands out the window. Most likely they'll have him step out. They'll give him commands to raise his hands above his head, to do a 360 so that they can see his entire torso. They may ask him to lift up his shirt from behind so that they can see his waistband. They'll call him back towards him, and then ultimately they'll most likely have him go to his knees, cross his ankles with his hands behind his head. They'll handcuff him and take him into custody. Then they'll go up and and clear the vehicle. That's if he complies. If he just sits there, we may see the deployment of a canine. Since he is a wanted felony suspect for assault with a deadly weapon on a police officer. But right now it's too early. It just kind of remains to be seen. I think the fact that driver's door is open is a good sign. We've seen him stop a number of times and then continue to drive. I think that we can now say we're pretty much certain that the vehicle is disabled. If you look the way it's listing to its right there, mainly because of those tires that have been completely shredded.
And Darren, you did talk about how it is difficult with these big box trucks when it becomes a standoff situation. Police just can't get in front of it, really, because it's a dangerous situation, or on the side. They can't pull up their cruisers, I should say.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, if this is an SUV or a minivan or some other kind of vehicle that had a normal commercial passenger vehicle that had windows around it, they could potentially deploy less than lethal munitions into the vehicle, or tear gas or something like that to try and get the suspect to come out. Here they can't, and their biggest disadvantage is not having a view into the vehicle and seeing what the suspect is doing inside. Whereas the suspect has probably a better view of them than they have of him, because this vehicle has the large commercial-sized mirrors on it.
So on the right-hand part of your screen, you're going to see that spike strip. That was when it was successfully deployed. And also, that was the point in time where that driver had assault on a police officer. You might be able, if we run that again. Now, this is when he gets onto the sidewalk. And watch, he gets past this one tree, then he gets hung up on that tree, shears off a limb, and then continues. For some reason, I don't know why, he had a clear road, but yet he still decided to take the sidewalk. We do not have video of a point in time where he sideswiped a car in a residential area. This is when the tires were smoking coming off of the rims. That's on the right-hand part of your screen. The left hand is going to be the live picture. This is going to be from Sky 9. This is the driver who finally came to a stop, but we have yet to see him come out with his hands raised. He hasn't shown any signs of giving up, at least at this point in time. He has stopped on a couple of other occasions, one or two times at least, stopping and then backing up this big truck, forcing the officers in those cruisers to also back up. He did stop earlier, and now it looks like he might be getting out.
Looks
so let's
like
go.
He finally is stepping out there.
Let's go back to Sergeant Wyatt and tell us a little bit about what he needs to do for this to eventually become a Code 4.
He needs to do exactly what he's told to do by the deputies. They'll be on the PA system and giving him very clear commands to exit the vehicle with nothing in his hands. It almost looks like he might be on the phone or something. You can see something in his hand there, in his right hand. But hopefully he gets out without making any kind of furtive movement, without making any kind of threatening movement towards the deputies, so that they can just take him into custody. But they're going to be giving him commands to step out with his hands up, with nothing in his hands, to raise him above his head so that they can clearly see what's going on. And he just needs to follow their direction so that we can resolve this peacefully.
And we know this suspect is of some sort of danger. Of course, we're talking assault with a deadly weapon, could be facing that charge. But also, at some point, we did see this driver, it came in contact with another car that was in front of it, and it just kept lunging that truck into that vehicle to get it to move out of its way. And it did this for quite some time through the Watts area. And the driver wasn't stopping, very aggressive, trying to just get away from officers there.
Yeah, we understand that this is probably an empty box truck, but even if it was loaded down with bread, that wouldn't be very heavy. It is a top-heavy vehicle. There was no opportunity for officers to do a pit maneuver on such a large vehicle. This is top-heavy. It could lose its center of gravity. It could roll into maybe some cars or a home or something like that. So there's really no opportunity. So really the only way that these officers could slow this vehicle down, and they did this successfully, was to deploy those spike strips. On the left-hand part of your screen, you see a number of officers behind this box truck that has now since stopped. And if we get a chance to get that to a full screen, I'd like to see exactly where that location is. Again, on the left-hand part of your screen, this is going to be live. On the right-hand part of your screen, now we go back to the full-size picture. This is going to be Atlantic Avenue in Compton. So this is a number of officers. I see 6 cruisers, Leslie, behind that box truck. This appears to be Atlantic. And I can't see what the
Boulevard, I believe.
It looks like Atlantic kind of splits and goes 2 different ways. It's at that fork in the road, if you will, and this box truck and the driver has stopped there. And this all started near the intersection of Alondra Boulevard and Wilmington, and that, Leslie, was about, well, a little bit more than an hour ago now that we've been covering it. So it happened just about 9 o'clock tonight.
And at this point, as you zoom in here, we do know that the driver has come to a standstill. We believe the driver's side door is open right now. It looked like the driver may possibly have had something in his hand. Sergeant, you said it kind of looked like, and I saw it too, looked like possibly on the phone.
Could be. I mean, everybody has a phone in their hands these days.
That's what it looked like, and then he was gesturing with his hands like he might have been talking to somebody, and who knows? Hopefully he's if he is on the phone, he's talking to somebody who's trying to convince him to, comply and give up. We could see he is kind of seated with his legs facing towards the driver's door, like he might exit, but he hasn't exited yet, and that's concerning. And the longer he stays in there, the higher the risk goes up, and the more wary the deputies behind him are going to be, especially since they don't have the good vision into the vehicle that they would had there been windows around the whole thing.
Yeah, I do want to just let our viewers know one of the reasons why we backed out of that shot earlier when he came out of this box truck is if he does have something in his hand. Of course, we don't want to get any of that on video. We don't want to have that occur as far as the shootout goes. We saw that there might have been something in his hand, so we went to a wider shot as we're starting to get a closer look here as to what he might be holding. But police officers very wary of this suspect who is sitting in the cab of this bread truck and is just fiddling with something. You got to understand that they are very concerned about what might be with him in the bread truck. Weapons, we know there's nobody else in this bread truck with him, but you don't know the level of aggravation this driver has. You don't know what they're going to do. And so they're going to take this very, very carefully as we're able to kind of zoom in and get a better shot. He now appears to be, Sergeant, just kind of hanging out. We've seen this quite a number of times before where they just kind of take their time. They may make a phone call. You don't know if they're calling mom or girlfriend or whatever the case may be, but just kind of wait this out a little bit. We've seen this before, haven't we?
Yeah, and it looked like he's moved his hand now, but it looked like he was sitting there with his right hand up on top of the window and his left hand in his lap. He's now pulled his right hand back and is kind of scratching his face, but he does have something in his hand there. I'm thinking it's a cell phone because you can see it light up and then go dark. So I'm guessing it's a cell phone that he has in that right hand there.
Looks like he's scrolling on that cell phone.
You can never be sure. Yeah.
And it looks like he has his hood up on, maybe possibly wearing a sweatshirt there. Would this be a point where deputies here would deploy a canine, or is that situation still too dangerous?
It's certainly possible. They want to give the suspect every opportunity to comply and to give up and not have to use any kind of force, including using a canine. But because he is wanted for a felonious assault on a peace officer throughout this pursuit, it would qualify for the type of event that a canine could be deployed on. But, with it being a holiday, you don't know where the canine might be coming from, how many they have on duty.
And look at how many people are outside right now looking at this all occur. You could see them there on the left-hand side of your screen, just a lot of people standing closer to where the deputies are, just watching this thing. Of course, that can be a dangerous situation as well. Oh, it looks like that suspect did get out of the box truck there. Yeah, and he's
Let's go to
taking
full
off.
screen. I think he is running off.
Carrying something.
Yeah,
a box, a bag.
Yeah, he's definitely got something underneath his arm. Let's stay with this here. He's going to continue to run. This is going to be up Atlantic Avenue in Compton. So this is now foot chase, and police have, well, they've taken him down. They got on him real quick. Sergeant, tell us a little bit about, we got a number of officers that were able to track him down and took him down really rapidly.
Yep, and you know, they're going to get on top of him. They're going to get him handcuffed and try and prevent any further fighting from him and the potential of injury to deputies or to the suspect. They want to get him into custody with as little force as possible. That's why there's so many of them on there. They're wrapping up his legs so that he can't kick. They're getting his hands behind his back so that he can do. And then you can see that there's this is, you know, kind of great work. You're not seeing any punches being thrown. All you're seeing is control holds to safely take the suspect into custody. And
well, I sure would like to know.
The public's mission.
Yeah, I sure would like to know what he had under his arm there, Leslie. Looked like he was carrying something that almost looked like a bread box.
It was
a backpack?
It was a backpack,
okay.
Jeff, that he was, as he was running, he was trying to get it looped back onto his back. And they tackled him right as that was occurring. But I think that we're going to see a code 4 here in just a second here. If there's any injuries to him, you see they're searching him right now. They'll roll him up, sit him up, and if he's injured in any way, they'll be calling for medical attention.
I really got to say, good work on behalf of law enforcement there, not to allow this guy to get down into a residential area and into somebody's home. That's always the fear. He is up. This is going to be a code 4, latest police pursuit of a driver in a bread truck wanted for assault with a deadly weapon on a deputy, reckless driving as well. And so it looks like they're going to walk him, put him in the back of a police car.
You know what? It might be a woman. It looks like it's a female. She has a ponytail.
Yep, it is a female.
Okay, well, on the right-hand part of your screen is going to be the takedown. We understand it possibly is a female. And nonetheless, it appears that they are in custody. So, Sergeant, retired Sergeant Darren Wyatt, thank you so much for your expertise and your time. We really do appreciate it. And we're glad.
Thanks, guys.
Happy Thanksgiving. Yeah, happy Thanksgiving. We're so glad that nobody was injured.